Today, the excitement of the PBA Tour travels to the Pacific Northwest and for the first time ever, Medford, Oregon. In today's wild card match, Rob Rice from Sunnyside, Washington is making his first ever television appearance. Rice takes on Kevin Mitchell. The 33-year-old from Tulsa, Oklahoma is also making his first television appearance. The winner of that match takes on Ryan Shafer. Shafer, ranked number 5 in the PBA World Rankings, is looking for his first victory of the year. In our other semifinal, the number 1 ranked bowler in the world, Parker Bohn III, the red-hot lefty, was our winner last week in Seattle. Bohn takes on Ricky Ward. Ward has a new delivery, and it paid immediate dividends. We welcome you to beautiful Medford, Oregon, just 27 miles north of the California border to one of the most beautiful facilities in all the land, Lava Lanes. Hello once again, everyone. Todd Harris along with Randy Peterson. Randy, we start things off with a wild card matchup, and this one really is a wild card.
Sure is. Two guys that have never made the telecast before, starting with Rob Rice. He just happens to be a proprietor here in the Great Northwest. His opening opponent, Kevin Mitchell. Last night they bowled a grueling 5-game match. Kevin's looking for a little revenge factor today.
And you get out of the wild card, and a guy who waits for you very hot in Ryan Shafer.
Red hot Ryan Shafer's really flourished in this new PBA style formats. A winner last year in Las Vegas, Nevada.
That will be semifinal number 2. In semifinal number 1, a classic matchup with Bohn III and Ward going head-to-head.
Ricky Ward, the Bulldog, backdoored his way into the finals today. Really got fortunate to get through a couple of his matches. But I think the guy you really need to talk about is Parker Bohn III. Parker Bohn, all-world. This guy's on such a roll, you would think he worked at a French bakery. Last week winning the Earl Anthony Memorial for his 28th title, becoming the second winningest left-hander of all time. Last night, a grueling match against his old roommate. What a great shot there, but here's his roommate, Jason Couch. He ended up beating Jason. Didn't break my heart because Jason actually knocked me out of the tournament.
So we'll see if Parker Bohn III can get the repeat done. There you see the brackets. Bohn III and Ward. Shafer awaits the winner of Rice and Mitchell. So those are your Alka-Seltzer brackets, and we are set to go here at the PBA Medford Open. This will be Rob Rice and Kevin Mitchell, with Kevin Mitchell starting things off. 33 years of age, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, 3 years on the tour. That's a tough way to start out the show.
What a terrible break. First shot under the hot lights. PBA Tour, first telecast. He starts off a blower, pocket 710.
Ooh.
This one you throw it really hard at either the 7 or the 10 pin and hope.
Well, he would have been phenomenal if he would have picked that up for his first ever appearance on television. So Kevin Mitchell leaves one hanging, and we move on to Rob Rice, 38 years of age, out of Sunnyside, Washington. And as Randy pointed out, this man has his own bowling alley.
Proprietor, owner of a bowling center, 16 lanes. Him and his wife manage.
And that's the way you would start it.
He's pumped up.
Absolutely. Both these gentlemen making their first appearance on television, and Rob Rice, Randy, what do you do? This is perfect.
Check out this right between the first and second arrow. That's called high flush, Todd.
Well done.
Rob told me last night, straighter is greater. This pattern and conditioner this week really allowed the straight shot to play.
And talking to the ball and pins doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, he was yelling hold because that ball was drifting high. What a great start. These guys are like TV veterans.
So now for Kevin Mitchell, he's got to put out that dreaded 7-10 split in the first frame and just move on with business.
2 frames in, both players are making really good shots to start. Obviously have a nice line to the pocket early on. Kevin Mitchell does a lot of great community work back home in Oklahoma.
And there you see how he got to where he is today.
Told me last night that he works for the state of Oklahoma for mentally challenged kids and adults.
There you go. Wow.
He's fired up.
Kevin Mitchell, this is the wild card, baby. You've got a long bowling day ahead of you.
15th board, which is the 3rd arrow on the right side of the lane. Can't throw him any better than that.
Back over to Rob Rice on the right lane.
11-pin lead. Can increase his lead to 21.
Working on the turkey. Well, Rob Rice having no problems with the television cameras and lights. Perfect thus far.
This guy's got ice water in his veins.
Telling you what.
Flush, flush, flush. The first 3 shots.
Well, I might have jinxed him.
Leaves at 3, 6, 9, 10. That ball was thrown poorly.
Well, you heard him talking. He was saying, hold, hold, hold.
As soon as he let go of it, he knew that ball was going left. Didn't clear the thumb. When you don't clear the thumb, it usually makes your hand rotate around the side. And what happens when your hand rotates around the side is you're going to grab it. And when you grab it, the ball goes left.
There you see how Rice got here. Defeated Voss, Arnold, and Mitchell. Defeated Kevin Mitchell in the round of 8.
It's that revenge factor we were talking about.
Exactly. Looking to pick this up. And he gets it done.
That is the toughest spare on the Pro Bowlers Tour today. The reason being the 9-pin, the back pin, the pin behind the 3-pin. You got to throw a hook ball into that to get the ball to hook into the back of that 9-pin, carrying the 9-pin out. The ball takes care of the 3, 6, 10. Kevin Mitchell, right lane, working on a double.
Come on! Oh.
Well, it was a good shot. You know, the key this week was keeping the ball in play and keeping it in the 1-3 pocket. Kevin's doing that. First frame blowout 7-10. 2 strikes in a row. This ball drifting slightly high. Leaves just the 4-pin. Switches to a ball that goes straight. He'll throw it straight and hard.
So Kevin Mitchell takes care of business there. 58, working on a spare.
Todd, last night he told me his keys to winning were staying focused, to drown out any distractions, 1 shot at a time, and have fun. I'll tell you one way you can have fun out here. It's by throwing strikes.
Kevin Mitchell currently down 8. Working on the left lane. Wow, he goes from leaving the 4, and then he goes to leaving the 10.
Well, another good shot again. Keeping the ball in play, hitting the pocket, make your spares. Says his nickname is Goofy.
You know, I didn't want to go there, but that's what his kids call him. I'm not going to call him that because the guy can bowl. So Goofy in my book. Cracking out the sparkle ball. It's all about the pickup, and Kevin Mitchell is successful. So we will step aside here in Medford, Oregon. When we come back, we'll continue with the matchup between Mitchell and Rice as the PBA Medford Open continues right here on ESPN. Well, here's where we stand right now at the PBA Medford Open. Kevin Mitchell has dug himself a hole down 31, and what can you say about Rob Rice? This guy is in fuego.
Yeah. Right lane, in between the first and second arrow. Watch that reaction there. Over on the left lane. He's fired up.
Back to Kevin Mitchell on the left-hand lane.
Oh, slight distraction. Regroup. Deep breath. Kevin's only thrown one bad shot in the entire match. That was the 6th frame where when he cut it off, he cut it short, didn't project the ball down the lane. Ball went high, left the 3-6, made the spare.
Kevin Mitchell in the 7th frame.
Come on. I ain't going down right now.
Really?
Trying to get himself back into it, and is there a better way?
We got a little trash talking going on.
Here
right
we
now.
go.
And what better way to get in your opponent's head than to start striking?
Well, Rob Rice is not having any of it right now. He's working on a double. Here he is in the right-hand lane, the 7th frame. Oh, look at that. He didn't think it was going to hit. He was saying no, no, no the whole way, and he still came up aces.
That ball was left of target the whole way, somehow holds its line.
Look at that. Didn't know it, didn't know it. That's one of those bad shot, good shot.
Yeah, a lot of times players will make foul line adjustments or foul line corrections. You get a sense or a feeling that the ball is going to be offline. That ball was left. He probably turned his thumb down, cutting down the hook, holding the line.
Ooh. Well, he was working on 3 strikes and comes up with that dreaded split. So Rob Rice will regroup here. What do you think, Randy? What went wrong on that one?
Well, that ball just went high. I mean, went right through the face, leaving the 3, 4, 6, 7. He's got to get the ball over into this zone right here. He's going to slide the 3-pin over into the 4 and the 7. Odds of making this for you, Todd, 1 in 1,000.
Wow, you're generous.
For Rice, 1 in 20.
Doable. Oh. Came in a little tight on the right-hand side, unable to pick up the other 3.
And the bad part about that is he loses count as well. He goes 6-1. Really opens the door now for Kevin Mitchell. Here's our situation. If Kevin Mitchell strikes out 8th, 9th, 10th, he'll shoot 235.
And he could probably drop the name Goofy. He won't be calling him that if he strikes out here.
Right, and if Rob Rice strikes out 9th and 10th, 236. Kevin Mitchell's just getting no breaks whatsoever. He's making the shots he needs to make, not carrying the corner pins.
Well, it looks like the placement's right. He's just not getting the action when he gets down to the pit. He's not getting that 10 or 7 to drop.
Placement is perfect. Unfortunately, the angle is not correct. It's either angle or speed that leaves corner pins. Too much speed, too little speed, you'll leave corner pins. And too sharp an angle in the back end will also leave corner pins.
So once again, he has to crack out the spare ball, much to his chagrin. What do you think Rob Rice is thinking right now?
Well, he's breathing a little easier now. Kevin was on a strike, failed to double. Situation is simple. Kevin Mitchell needs to strike in the 9th frame to put pressure on Rob Rice.
Oh, and once again, he leaves the 7, and that takes us right to lane conditions, Randy. I mean, is it a situation where he's not adapting to the lane conditions he has here?
In a typical house condition, there's a heavy buildup of oil in the center part of the lane and a lot of friction to the outside. If you miss to the right, ball hooks back. If you miss in, the ball holds its line, thus creating a lot of room for error to get the ball to the 1-3 pocket. On a sport condition, however, the pattern's very flat with little or no friction left to right and a lot of undulation. Very little room for error. An errant shot right or left could spell disaster. After 2 or 3 games, the players are going to try to break the lane down to give themselves a little more room for error, a little more friction in this area, build up a little more oil in that part of the lane, giving themselves a little more room for error to increase the size of the pocket.
And we are back to live action. Kevin Mitchell was successful in picking that up.
Here's our situation. It's pretty simple. Rob Rice, if he can mark in one of the last 2 frames, he's going to advance. Well, let me rephrase that. He needs to mark in each of the last 2 frames. And right now, he's made it real difficult on himself.
Right.
Leaving the 1, 2, 8, 10.
Well, he's already thrown 6 strikes out of 9 frames, and he needs it.
He's got to get the ball over into this area here. He's going to throw the head pin, or try to throw the head pin over into the 10. The ball will take out the 2 and the 8.
Would you classify that as a standard shot?
Well, it's a washout because the head pin is standing.
Oh. Well, it didn't look like he hit it where he wanted to, but he almost got the action on that pin flying in the back.
Needed to get the ball a little bit further left the head pin. Here's the situation. Strike spare, Rob Rice is going to shut out Kevin Mitchell. Anything less, Kevin Mitchell can step up in the 10th frame and strike out to either win or tie. We do have a possibility of a tie this match.
So it all comes down to...
Yeah!
Rob Rice does it. And I think Kevin Mitchell has done the math as well.
Right now, Rob Rice needs to leave himself something he can make if he doesn't strike. But this is about as good as you want to throw it for the cheese.
Wow.
Look at that reaction.
Feeling it. Feeling it.
He says it's go time.
Ooh. He knew it right away, didn't he?
Yeah, and he got a huge break, tripping the 10 pin out, only leaving the 4-7. That ball had big 4 written all over it. This match is come down to who got the breaks, and Kevin Mitchell got no breaks.
Now this is interesting. Kevin Mitchell would go to a spare ball straight and hard, and we've seen him do it in earlier rounds, but he's going to go with his normal ball, and you don't want to throw the hook here, right?
Well, rule of thumb is when you leave spares, you throw the straight ball.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your winner.
Well, you said it, ice in the veins. In his first television appearance, Rob Rice gets the job done. He advances to the semifinals, but the job gets no easier. That is where Ryan Shafer awaits.
Nothing abnormal.
Kevin Mitchell bowled a great game. Couldn't get the corners out. Hit the pocket all but one shot. He's going to lose by 12 or 13 pins.
So Kevin Mitchell wraps it up, and that will do it for our wild card match. When we come back to Medford, Oregon, we move into the semifinals as the PBA Medford Open returns on ESPN. Tour the plant of Harry and David, the world's largest gourmet fruit and food gift company, and it's found right here in beautiful Medford, Oregon. Well, the score of the wild card match shakes down like this. There you see it is Rob Rice with a 205 advancing over Mr. Mitchell, 191. So the setup now looks like this. We're down to the semifinals. Rice moves in. He will meet Mr. Shafer in semifinal number 2. But right now it is Parker Bohn III and Ricky Ward. Now it's time to get to know one of our players more personally with our 10-frame segment. This week it's the In-N-Out Burger fan and California kid Robert Smith.
And Jason just gives me fits. I think he gets up a little bit for me, and he likes to give me a little ribbon every time I bowl him. Oh yeah, definitely. His head's way bigger than mine. I wouldn't miss if I threw it for him. Briefs. Boxers tend to hurt a little bit when I bowl. Jennifer Lopez, definitely. Jennifer Lopez, because she got a big old butt. Like it. 5 CDs. Pearl Jam's 10. Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom. Incubus is Science and Make Yourself. And for the last one, probably be Neil Diamond. Spanish 2 teacher, Mrs. Brack. Me and her got into an argument one day because she told me I was wasting my life being a bowler. 1988 Camaro that I proceeded to blow the engine block out of 2 weeks after I bought it. My favorite one's Thanksgiving. I love the fact that I get to eat and I get to fall asleep right after the fact when I'm done eating, so it's like one of my 2 favorite things to do. It's called pork adobo. It's a Filipino dish, and it's absolutely the best thing I've ever had. Like dad just because he just went through a lot of crap growing up. And then my grandfather, who actually lived in the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma, in the panhandle of Oklahoma, and just made himself from absolutely nothing to being able to survive and raise a pretty good family.
My headset's not getting the ball at all.
Okay, thanks.
And we are back to live action. This is semifinal number 2, Parker Bohn III and Ricky Ward. Welcome back to live bowling action in beautiful Medford, Oregon. This is the PBA Medford Open. Todd Harris along with Randy Peterson. This is semifinal number 1. Parker Bohn III and Ricky Ward. Set to start things off. Ricky Ward will get things going. We talked to him yesterday and we said, what's the key to you winning here? And his bottom line is just heart. I like that.
Well, he's named the Bulldog. He's got a lot of fire. He's a tough competitor. Oh, nice opening shot. We call that the ringing 7. That's where the 4-pin would go up and around the 7-pin, as opposed to going and laying dead in the gutter or in the channel.
And here's how he got here. Defeated Horan, Husted, and Hoskins in the round of 8. That was last night.
You see what we talked about, how he kind of, good conversion. He kind of snuck his way through the back door. You know, 2 of the 3 matches go to 5 games where it looked like he was going to be eliminated.
Yeah, and last night against Hoskins, he was down 2-0. But this is Parker Bohn III. He is coming off a victory last week in the Seattle area, winning the Early Memorial. Wow. Looks like he is continuing right where he left off.
Parker was very fortunate just to be here in the televised finals today. Going in the last game of qualifying, it looked like our last week's champion was going to finish, was going to be finished for the week. He sat 29 pins out of 32nd. The last game he managed to shoot 269 to send him into 24th place for the single elimination play and eventually to the telecast.
And here's a guy that brings out a quiver of bowling balls when he hits the lanes.
Using 2 different bowling balls. On the right lane, he's using a ball that's much tamer, that's much straighter. As you look at this ball, just drifting a little bit light. On the left lane, however, Todd, he's using a much stronger ball, something that's going to pick the mid part of the lane up more, get the ball into a much sooner roll.
Straight and converts. And looks like he's going to step out and maybe pick up some more equipment. He's constantly tinkering.
One thing that Parker's been doing the last couple of weeks, he's been really juggling his equipment back and forth and not afraid to change at a moment's notice.
As we get back to Ricky Ward. Wow. The Bulldog off to a good start. And we want to congratulate him and his wife as they have a new baby girl, Hannah. We talked to him last night. He was saying how the pressure was greater. And there you see the info on the speed. One more time, Ricky Ward.
Playing around the 3rd arrow, you see the amount of back end that the ball has. The reason why it's hooking that much in the back end is, number 1, Ricky Ward's release, rotating around the bowling ball, and number 2, the equipment he's using. He's using a high differential bowling ball, which means the ball's going to pick up, get into a roll sooner, and that's what's going to help create back end for him.
Ooh. Well, he leaves the split. Parker Bohn is back in. As we take a look at the PBA Tour and other finishes on the bottom of your screen.
You hear Ricky saying short. What he means by that is he set or cut the ball short, and what that did was it made the ball hook early. When it hooked early, it went right through the face.
And he is forced to pick up on the right-hand side, leaving 1 pin. So Ricky Ward a little dismay with that performance. And we now move on to Parker Bohn.
And this is the kind of guy that you really don't want to give a whole lot of chances or openings to.
Well, he did say the key to him winning was finding the right ball.
Well, here's a ticket for Parker Bohn III. He's got a lot of ball reaction on the right lane. He's going to use a ball that doesn't hook quite as much. On the left lane, he's looking for more reaction. He uses a stronger bowling ball.
Now, he doesn't like the configuration on the left-hand lane, so he has the option for the reset. And what's that about? Is that just superstition?
Sometimes the players are looking for a little extra time, and sometimes they don't like the way the pins come down on spot. They could be off spot for Parker. He's looking at the head pin and the 2-pin to see how wide those two are, or if there's any separation, if they're close together. Try to give himself the best chance to strike when he hits the pocket.
Well, maybe he should have gone with the first set, because he comes back and gets a terrible fall there.
And what I'm seeing from where I'm sitting is that the left lane is the tricky lane. A little too much ball speed on the left lane. The ball doesn't have a chance to pick up and grab the lane, therefore going light. Got to create friction on that left lane. That's why the guys are using the stronger bowling balls on that lane.
Oh.
Parker, 1 is 2. What are you doing?
You heard Parker say, what are you doing? He only got 1 pin. He was going for the 2-pin count because the 3-7-9 is virtually non-makeable. You can't make it. He's trying to go for 2-pin count. He only gets 1.
Damn, baby. That's right.
Yo, Bulldog in the house with the little messenger coming across.
Ricky Ward with the favorable action.
Watch the action of the head pin. It's going to go to the side wall, and then it's going to come bird dogging.
Boom.
He's fun to watch. He gets fired up. Loves to drive his race truck.
Yeah, that's not a real race truck. That's a rocket ship.
He tried to get me in that thing once. I said, forget it.
6:48 working on a strike. Oh, he almost gets the love again, but not this time.
Oh, no love. You heard him say he trusted. He threw a great shot, almost back-to-back messengers.
Not a bad average in TV appearances.
Switching to a ball that doesn't hook. Plastic or polyester ball. Cross lane straight and hard.
Well, the Bulldog may be doing it again, backing his way into a possible victory. When we come back, we'll have more of the PBA Medford Open when we return to Lava Lanes in beautiful Medford, Oregon, right after this on ESPN. We are back to live action. There you see the score. Parker Bohn 66 working off a double, and Ricky Ward's 87 working off a spare. But Parker Bohn seems to, or may have found the zone there, Randy.
Check out this shot here. Move to the inside line. Love tap on the 7. Then the left lane.
Ball. Come on, yeah!
So now you're up to speed. That's what you missed while we were away, and now we are back on with Ricky Ward. The Bulldog trying to stay viable in this semifinal number 1.
Had a good shot in the 6th frame. Came in a little bit light, leaving the shaker 10.
Wow.
You can see that ball just never grabbing the lane. Just almost whipped the head pin.
What's going on here when you say the head pin and not grabbing?
Well, this ball's not going to hook in the back end because it's not making enough contact to the lane. There's not enough friction being created. One is by either throwing the ball too fast, or one is by just simply missing it at the bottom of the swing, missing the release point.
And a nice pickup for Ricky Ward.
It is spare exhibition.
No Tiger, though. He's in New Zealand.
He's in New Zealand. Went to the land down under. He's Kiwi time. This is Parker Bohn III in Medford. Oh, my.
What a huge break crossing over.
He doesn't even believe it.
That's something you don't see Parker Bohn III do very often.
But he'll take it.
Huge break, and again, it's coming down to the guy who gets the most breaks. 22-pin lead, 8th frame, left lane. With a strike, Parker can increase his lead to 32.
96 working off the turkey.
Wow.
All right, one makes up for the other.
You hear that? You know, one thing about Parker, he's brutally honest. He got the great break on the right lane. Left lane makes a great shot, doesn't catch the break on the 10. He's got such a great mental attitude and mental outlook. Nobody bowls more than Parker Bohn III. Always in bowling shape and bowling condition.
Yeah, you look at these guys, it's not about a power game. I mean, he's 5'11", 150 pounds. But, man, he can throw a ball.
Tell you what, you try throwing that 16-pound ball for, like our U.S. Open was 62 games, not counting practice and proms. This week, Parker's probably bowled 75-plus games, including practice.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is just an absolutely grueling. What you see here on the television today live is the culmination of 119 gentlemen coming in here, and only 5 slots can make it on TV. It's single elimination, so every week you might get a new name because it's kill or be killed. And Ricky Ward looking to get back on track, and that's the way to do it.
Speed.
Telecast today is just a microcosm of what goes on during the week, Todd. We bowl 18 games of qualifying just to get to the round of 32, a marathon. It then turns around into a sprint. The winner of the best 3 out of 5 games matches. My first match this week, I went 3-0. Then I lost to Couch 3-1.
Yeah, baby, don't give it. Make them earn it.
So the 91 Rookie of the Year, Ricky Ward, sending out a little message to Parker Bohn III. He now sits 124, working off a double.
Going to post that shot. We'll watch the reaction of this great break, trip in the 6-pin. Yo, hand slap.
And his comments were, make him earn it.
And that was a huge shot, 9th frame foundation. Ooh. About the worst time Parker could ever leave something like that. Let's count them. The 3, the 6, the 7, and the 9.
So is the proverbial door now open, Randy?
Oh, it's wide open, especially since Ricky is working on a double. Got to get the ball over into this area. Slide this 3-pin over into the 7. He's got to throw a hook ball to have any chance.
Ooh. He got good action, but it didn't clip it. So Parker Bohn III leaves one standing. Ricky Ward likes his chances. And the drama continues as these two men are battling for a spot in the final. Remember, first place, $40,000. Not a bad payday for a long week here in Medford, Oregon.
Here's the situation. Parker Bohn III strikes out. He will force Ricky Ward to throw the first strike in the 10th.
Come on, ball.
There's one.
And this is the big shot coming up here.
This is a crucial one. This will force Ricky Ward with reasonable count after a strike here. Will force Ricky Ward throw the first hit in the 10th frame.
Well, Parker's certainly the mad scientist, rarely using the same ball twice until he finds the exact one he likes, but the conditions, as you pointed out, are always changing, so he's always tinkering. This is the shot. Come on, ball. Oh.
With a spare here, Parker's going to shoot 190. Ricky Ward going at a 194 pace. Ricky Ward will need a mark in the 10th frame with good count, and he will advance.
Well, a good pickup for Parker Bohn III, but not what he was looking for.
Strike on the first ball locks it up for Ricky. 8 spare strike, or 8 spare 9. He will advance.
Well, here's a guy who said it's all about the heart. He took last week off, spent a little time with his family, so maybe that's going to pay off right here.
Biggest shot of the week.
Nobody's boy. Nobody's boy.
Can you call that a statement?
Check out those eyes. Told you he's the Bulldog. They don't call him the Bulldog for nothing. This kid is rock solid. I know Lisa and Hannah are back in Fort Myers just cheering Dad on. What a great shot he threw there in the 10th. Sandy, he's a winner.
There you go.
Yes,
Hannah, be proud of your daddy. Hannah, his 7-month-old daughter. So Ricky Ward advances to the championship, and the Bulldog moves on. We'll be back to Medford, Oregon for more of the PBA Medford Open when we return right here on ESPN. The Rogue River runs from Crater Lake to Gold Beach, giving avid rafters mile after mile of rafting options, not for the faint of heart. And here is the final score of that semifinal. It was Ricky Ward beating Parker Bohn III, 203 to 190. And here's how the brackets shape up right now. So it is Ricky Ward who moves in to the championship round, and he awaits the winner of Shafer and Mitchell. And look at this gentleman. Despite the hair, he had, what, 22 titles, and they call him the Medford Meteor. Marshall Holman, congratulations on all your success, and thanks for dropping by. First of all, let's talk about this facility. I haven't talked to one player who hasn't said glowing things about this great facility here, and you've got to be proud of it.
I'm very proud of Lava Lanes. Best place they're going to bowl all year long, and all the way from Rick Donnelly, the proprietor, to the people that work for Rick, they did a great job. It was really a very enjoyable week.
As you look at the way bowling is going right now, it just seems like it's just gaining momentum. It's getting better, and more people are getting involved in it. It's more popular. Do you see an end in sight for this thing?
Well, I look at bowling that was down, certainly on an upswing, and the new ownership of the PBA has done a great job. The new format, the match play, the momentum swings in the match play are so interesting to watch. And I bowled this week. Really wanted to make it to match play, didn't get there. Finished 42nd, not bad, but the right direction is how I'm looking at it.
You feel good about the way the sport is going?
Yeah, I do. And there's more credibility. We've got some great players out here, and now we've got some new younger players that are hungry. They see the possibilities to make a good living out here, so it's drawing the best.
Well, it's not often you get a Hall of Famer to sit in with you. You can stick around for a little while?
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Marshall Holman, a class act as we look at the upcoming events on the PBA Tour. The ABC Masters, National Bowling Stadium in Reno, Nevada. Sunday, January 20th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then you don't want to miss the PBA Las Vegas Open at the Orleans Hotel, Casino, and Bowling Center. That's on the 27th of January at 12:30 Eastern. And finally, the PBA Dallas Open. Don Carter's All-Star Lanes West, Sunday, February 3rd at 3 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN. But we are all set up for our next match. Ryan Shafer has been waiting in the wings, and he will take on Rob Rice in semifinal number 2.
Scott. Scott.
This is Rob Rice, and since we have a Hall of Famer here, Marshall, very impressive in his wild card match.
Well, he was, and he's a nervous player. I talked to Rob, and he's as surprised as anybody that he's made it this far. He has trouble, what I call sealing the deal. In that opening game, he was very, very good early, but then in the latter frames, he tried to give the match away. So It's important for him to stay focused throughout the entire game.
Well, Randy and I were talking about this. This is really a grueling marathon of bowling. I mean, these guys have started Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just constantly bowling, and to keep your focus. And then when the lights come on, things like that seem to happen.
Very difficult. You see, he leaves the 3-6-10 coming in high, and then doesn't get the ball up to the 3-pin, starting with an open frame. Now he's bowling against Ryan Shafer, who is a known star player on tour.
Well, I saw Ryan Shafer in the hotel yesterday. I knew he was bowling well because he had a quick step and a big smile. So he has made it here to the semifinals, looking to move on to the championship round. That's where Ricky Ward awaits the winner, and that's the way, Randy Peterson, you get it done, isn't it?
Yeah, Marshall, welcome. One of my idols growing up. Marshall, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Marshall, I talked to Ryan last night. He said he went with a straight game after like the first 9 games of qualifying, shot 300 over the next 9 games, and here he is today. This straight game he's been working on with Eugene McCune a little bit, it seems to be paying huge dividends this week.
And when he first came out, you remember, all he had was the big hook. Now he's versatile, and on today's bowling conditions, if you don't have an A, B, C, and D game, you might as well just go home.
I agree 100%.
And he leaves the 10, so Ryan Shafer not perfect on that frame.
Good pitch, 2 good shots right out of the gate.
you know, he's been living in the pocket probably more than anybody in the entire field, and he's left a lot of 10 pins, but I think he's sort of resigned himself to the fact that he's just going to keep himself in play, not make mistakes, no forced errors, unforced errors, and it's paid off so far.
And I think one of the things to note is that when the lanes are tough, once you can find pocket consistently, whether your carry's good or bad, you usually stay with it, because if you try to make changes to try to increase your carry, a lot of times you lose pocket.
That's right, and that's when the big designs come up, and you can't be picking those up.
Right.
So Rob Rice back up again.
Come on.
Oh, wow. Now, he was talking in the wild card, and he was getting those to drop, and it's just not happening here.
Well, you know, we've got another right-hander on the lanes now. Ryan Shafer playing similar to the same zone, maybe pushing the oil down. It's a game later. You know, his reactions change a little bit. I think, Marshall, that the back ends may have tightened up a little bit on him is evident to that shot there, just not really finishing.
I agree, and Rob Rice does not have the experience on these kind of conditions to know what moves to make. Not like a Ryan Shafer as he goes for the 5-7.
Oh!
Yeah!
That's a nice pickup.
And some enthusiasm from the man from the Northwest.
Sunnyside, Washington is where he calls home, and wow, you can't draw it up any better than that.
Marshall, you know Rob a lot better than most, or especially a lot more than myself, being from the area. He's pretty fire. This guy's got a lot of fire.
He does, and he's a lot better player than he might look if you just watch him throw a couple of shots. Bowls very well in the regional program, and he's stuck at the line, comes in high and leaves us 6-10.
That was his problem lane in the first match. He pulled a couple shots on that left lane, really made a lot of really good shots on the right lane, but the left lane seemed to give him a little bit more trouble. You know, and I think that you touched on it at the start of the match. You know that this isn't a Kevin Mitchell who's bowling either. This is a guy with a lot of TV experience and a great player. Not to take anything away from Kevin. This is a PBA champion he's going up against.
Yeah, and if I'm Ryan Shafer right now, I'm thinking, okay, let me just keep my ball in play, not make any mistakes, because I really think that I can win with a fairly low-scoring game.
Well, not happy with that.
Boy, and if you're Ryan Shafer, Rob Rice is the guy you certainly want to be bowling to try to advance to the title match.
Oh, there's the big messenger coming over.
We've seen a few of those this week, huh, Marshall?
A lot of them.
Well, gentlemen, now it's time for the Dexter footwork of the pros with Ryan Shafer.
When I made the show in Louisville earlier this season, I used the number 2 heel and the number 4 sole combination. I found the approaches to be very similar this week, so I stuck with the same combination. Even though I'm a power player, I threw the ball a little straighter this week, and this combination allowed me to keep the ball on line in the pocket with good speed.
So that's how Ryan Shafer does it. There you go. See, there's the problem I have with you bowlers. Make it look too easy. And then I get out there and practically have carpal tunnel syndrome after throwing one ball. I mean, they make it look so easy.
Take a look at this 5-step approach. Watch what he does when he gets to the foul line. He really gets up on that leg. Ryan's a little different, Marcy. Most players like the postal shot. He kind of comes up and out of it, but I guess that's how he generates that much power in that small frame.
Yeah, I agree. And we can see Rob Rice. He throws his ball, he comes back shaking his head. That man right there has confidence. Rob Rice, he's looking for some.
Well, Randy, Marshall, would you agree it's definitely go time for Mr. Rice?
Well, I wouldn't wait much longer.
And he converts there.
And he might have, the possibility of winning and advancing to the title match on his mind instead of, thinking about, making good shots and the target you're trying to hit.
Well, a Hall of Famer's work is never done. When Marshall Holman moves out of the broadcast booth, he'll enter cyberspace. PBA.com is your best place for all the latest news on the tour. And if you log on now, you can chat live with none other than the Medford Meteor. Marshall, we appreciate you staying by, and the Medford Meteor is alive and well.
Thank you, Todd. Randy?
Marshall, thanks very much for
All right.
joining us. I look forward to getting out on the golf course with you again soon.
We'll do it.
Okay,
Thanks.
buddy, thanks.
Marshall Holman, the Medford Meteor. Love that name.
Marshall's been my idol. It was my idol when I was growing up. I loved watching him on TV. A great man, a great champion, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer indeed. So we will step aside. When we come back, we'll wrap up this semifinal between Rice and Shafer as the PBA Medford Open continues right here on ESPN. Welcome back to Medford, Oregon, the PBA Medford Open. Todd Harris along with Randy Peterson. This is the semifinal between Rob Rice and Ryan Shafer.
Right.
He had opportunity to shut the door, didn't he?
Excuse me, Todd. Big split on the right lane. Comes back with a solid 8 on the left lane. Still in command of the match.
There you go. Well, while we were away, he had a wild split. Not your standard 7-10. He set himself up in position that almost impossible to convert, as you say, an unmakeable shot, and here it was.
This ball's left of target the whole way. Cuts right through the heart.
So he leaves 2 standing there. We move back to live action. Rob Rice on the right lane.
Come on! Yeah! Yeah! It never fails, Todd. You give somebody a little opening, a little breathing room, they come back and respond.
And I think Ryan Shafer knew it. He looked at it like, he left the door cracked just enough. So Rice is 84, working off a strike.
Another strike here in the 7th. He can cut the lead to 3 pins.
Currently down 13 is Rob Rice.
Come on, hook!
Maybe one more second, he might have had that 10.
He had the leaner going.
Look at this. Oh. If you could convert body language into effort, he would have had a strike there. And a nice pickup for Rob Rice.
Here's Joel, right lane.
Yeah!
A little reaction from Joel.
That shot went as far left as you thought, Randy. That lane changed a little bit.
You hear that? See, I thought he pulled that shot on the left lane. He said that lane changed. Okay, Ryan, I stand corrected. The Joel is a nickname for Ryan. His friends gave him. Joel from Risky Business. I call him Rhino. This guy's as tough as a rhino.
I'll buy that Joel thing. That would work. From a distance, minus mustache.
What a massive shot that was. Solid Messenger just flew across. Airborne taking the 10 out.
Wow. There you see the PBA Tour and the average leaders, and Ryan Shafer's not in bad company there, is he?
No. That was through last week. Having a great year. Been solid for the last 5 or 6 years out here.
Yeah. And Rob knew that right away, didn't he?
Yeah, he's really put the heat on Rob Rice. With a conversion here, he'll trail by 20, going in the 9th and 10th frame. Three, 6, 10. Got to get the ball to the right of the 3-pin. He missed the spare earlier. There you go. Missed that spare in the first frame of this match. Here's the situation, Todd. He strikes out. He shoots 201. Ryan Shafer right now could strike out for possible 231. It's all going to come down to who performs in the 9th and 10th, but right now Rob Rice needs to strike. Oh, he's going to try to keep him honest.
Well, I'm sure the folks back in Sunnyside, Washington in his lanes are probably cheering him on. I hope they are, and wish them the best. Rob Rice trying to stay in it, and I think he knew this one all the way.
All right, right now he just wants one more just like it. Ryan Shafer going at a 2:01 pace. Working on a double.
Better get up.
Now he knew. Calling it up.
You heard him say it. It better get up. Went through the face. Went through the face a couple frames ago on that lane. He watched this ball going light, leaving the 2-8. Comes back with that flush pocket shot where he was giving me the stick. Comes back and goes light, leaves a 2-8.
Never doubt Randy Peterson, folks.
No,
lesson I've learned.
Hey, trust me, he knows what he's doing. All right,
Ryan Shafer, Yahtzee.
great spare conversion there. Here's the situation. Ryan Shafer can strike twice in the 10th frame and get 3 pins. He will advance to the championship round. Anything less, Rob Rice can strike out in the 10th and win.
And Ricky Ward is already in the championship round, so I'm sure he is watching this match with certain interest. Oh, he gets some Elmira, New York love on that one.
Take a look at the 10-pin farthest to the right. Oh, the 6-pin went into the channel, and the neck of it clips the 10 out. Ryan says, you know what, sometimes it's not about how great you can throw it, but about how good a break you can get. And that was a huge break.
This is Ryan Shafer trying to close the door. And I think by that expression, the door has been closed.
Well, I think he can handle 3 pins. He's got to stay behind the foul line and keep the ball on the lane. He's all but sewn up this match.
Now, 3 pins is nothing to this guy. Now, if it was me, you wouldn't put any money on it because I'd be put on the size 12 collar. But for Ryan Shafer, out of Elmira, New York, 5'8", 150 pounds. He doesn't even need all 150 pounds. He can use 10 pounds of it.
Good enough, Nicky.
And that's good enough to get the job done. So Ryan Shafer will move into the championship round where he will meet Ricky Ward when we come back, the final of the PBA Medford Open.
Good enough.
Beautiful Crater Lake, 33 miles around and 1,932 feet deep. Once a towering mountain, now America's deepest lake. Not too far from here in beautiful Medford. You see the final score. Shafer wins 204 to 169. Rob Rice had a great run, but when he met up with Mr. Shafer, it was all over. So the brackets are all filled out now. We are down to our final match between Ricky Ward, the Bulldog, and the man with risky business, Mr. Ryan Shafer. Next week, the PBA Tour heads to Reno, Nevada and the National Bowling Stadium for one of the sport's major championships, the American Bowling Congress Masters. A top prize of $100,000 is at stake for the field of more than 400 pros and high-level amateurs. In last year's ABC Masters, Parker Bohn III and Jason Couch hooked up in a thrilling final. Bohn won and captured the first major title of his career. So the championship is all that is left to do here in Medford, Oregon when we return to Lava Lanes. It's the PBA Medford Open Final. Ricky Ward and Ryan Shafer. Stay with us right here on ESPN. We are live in Medford, Oregon, and that is the prize that awaits one of these two men, a brand new inscribed Rolex watch. I wouldn't know what to do with a Rolex watch.
Hey, Todd, cover for me. I'm going to go down there and swap my Timex for that, see if anybody notices, okay?
You and I both. And these are the two men that will be battling out for the $40,000 and the Rolex watch. Ryan Shafer and Ricky Ward. This is the championship match, and we are live at Lava Lanes in Medford, Oregon. First up, Ricky Ward, the Bulldog. Oh!
Must be showtime.
Hey, you hear that comment from Ricky? Must be showtime. We watched him in practice prior to going on for this title match. He hit the pocket a lot.
Fire out.
We have an old saying out here on tour. You know, you strike a lot in practice. As soon as the lights come on, you can't find the pocket.
Well, he's always found just enough to advance, and that's been the mantra for Ricky Ward thus far. And he converts there in the first frame. Randy, what do you think? Conditions, have they changed a lot? And we've had the lights on. We've had some serious matches taking place. Now's the time to really do some modifying.
Lanes have changed. The first thing that happens is the front part of the lane dries up. That forces the players to move in. It also takes a little bit of the hook and the speed off. If the ball starts to hook early, it's going to lose energy down the lane. Players are constantly making adjustments with angle and equipment.
Well, Ryan Shafer just coming off his semifinal victory over Rob Rice. Still tinkering just a little bit.
Well, as difficult as lanes are, it's hard to stay in one zone, stay with one ball. You're constantly changing, moving around.
See, the lefties are 6 and 5 versus righties this week. And going with the power ball and takes care of business.
And not to jinx anybody, but this was the same pair, 27 and 8, that I lost to Jason Couch on in the round of 16.
Ryan Shafer, 35 years of age, out of Elmira, New York. Throwing right, stands 5'8", 150. He had a victory in 2001 in Las Vegas. Ooh, wow. 10-pin has given everyone grief today.
You know, again, we talked about it before. The key is to keep the ball in play. Leave yourself spares you can make. This is not a high-scoring condition. It wasn't a high-scoring condition all week. The guy that made the fewest mistakes, got the most breaks, was the guy that ended up advancing and winning matches.
Dropped that one.
Well, he's going to a different power ball there. Dropped it, as you heard him say, but is able to convert nonetheless. So Ryan Shafer will take a seat now, and Ricky Ward is up. Ricky Ward, certainly a character. Randy had mentioned his truck. He has a truck that he races, and it goes up to 150 miles an hour in his truck. That's not right.
He's crazy, driving that fast on 2 wheels.
Goodness.
Well, ball drifts in a little high, Todd. There's a 6-pin. He's like, all right, keeping it around the pocket. It's all even. I make this spare. It's all even. You know, it's kind of set the stage for the latter part of the match where the Bulldog can really come through. You know, most of his matches, he actually bowled better once he got behind all week long.
Well, the Bulldog is certainly a fitting name for him. He is absolutely relentless. He's gotten down. He's got behind. As we talked about earlier in the earlier rounds, he got down 0-2. And here you see him saying, trust the shot.
He gets that truck up on 2 wheels. That wheelie thing going about 100.
So if he offers to give us rides back to the hotel, turn it down.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home, don't ever accept a ride from Ricky Ward.
But you can certainly accept bowling tips from Ricky Ward.
Absolutely. You see that shot there, how he posted it? He let go of it, and he froze. He posted the shot because he knew right away he threw it good. Watch him let go of this release and watch him freeze. Player does that because he knew he threw it well. It was great off his hand, and he knows it's going to be dead flush.
So this is Ryan Shafer to answer. And like a true champion, he does it. Does not want to give Ricky Ward any momentum.
All even.
Nice resume there. Currently ranked 5th. 3-tour titles. Career earnings, not bad. Almost to $755,000. Yikes.
PBA Rookie of the Year. Runner-up to PBA Player of the Year last year. Ryan is also a diabetic. He has a big chore regulating his blood sugar.
Blood sugar.
That's a shame. That's a shame to get away with that.
You heard him. It was a bad shot that struck. He said it was a shame, but yeah, I think the one thing that's really great about Ryan is he's really honest about his game, and when he makes good shots, when he makes bad shots, this ball is left out of his hand. He thumbs it, he misses it, and the ball just holds line, holds pocket. Wow. Just goes to show you that you can be a great competitor and a PBA champion and still have, you know, a medical condition. Ryan has learned how to control his diabetes, keep his blood pressure in check, his blood sugar in check. If you see him every now and then blowing in his hands, it's because sometimes he gets a little too excited, a little too much over the edge, just like that. There you go. And he does that to calm himself down. Right now, Ricky Ward looking to make a spare.
Nicely done. So Ricky Ward, the 1991 PBA Rookie of the Year, doing battle with the 1987 PBA Rookie of the Year. Shafer currently sitting at 39, working off a double, and Ricky Ward at 59, 10 down, working off a spare.
This is usually the situation where Ricky starts to shine. He gets behind the match a little bit. His opponent gets a little overconfident, and then all of a sudden the Bulldog steps up and bites you.
Don't let the Bulldog back in the yard. Oh, and the 7 will not sit.
Stick and move.
You're sticking. Right now he's just jabbing away, keeping the ball in play, making his 9 spares, and waiting for that one opening.
Well, he told us the key to him is that second and third step, and the ball needs to be down by that third step. And so far, Randy, is he doing that, do you think?
I think he's doing a good job of it. You know, he's modified his approach.
Drills it. So the Bulldog keeps the pressure on as we continue here at beautiful Lava Lanes. The PBA Medford Open rolls on here on ESPN Live when we return. We are back live to Lava Lanes in Medford, Oregon. This is the PBA Medford Open as we bring you up to speed on what's taking place. Ryan Shafer is 118 working off a spare, and here's his last frame, Randy.
Perfect 1-3 pocket strike. This ball's going to drift a little bit high. No. You hear Ryan yell no? Thought that ball was going to drift up a little bit too much, catch too much of the headpin, and the one thing he didn't want to do on a 3-bagger, big split.
Exactly. So we are back live to the PBA Medford Open. Todd Harris along with Randy Peterson. This is Ricky Ward. Working in the 6th frame.
Beautiful Lava Lanes, I might add. Rick Donnelly and his crew, phenomenal job. They get my Rookie of the Year award. First time hosting a PBA event.
Well, right now, Ricky Ward loves this place. We talked to him last night, and he said this is the nicest place he's bowled. There's some that are almost as good, but he said there's nothing that's better than Lava Lanes here in Medford, Oregon.
By far the best ran tournament I can remember in a long time. The staff, the volunteers, I mean, the city of Medford really opened their doors to the PBA. And it's just been just a great event, and it all starts with the proprietors and the owners of the bowling center, Rick Donnelly and his partners. Phenomenal job. And first place trophy, Rolex watch.
Not a bad.
That's right.
Bulldog!
The Bulldog is in the house, and the house seems to be Lava Lanes, and there is Rick Donnelly, managing partner of Lava Lanes. And I got to tell you, it is one of the most meticulous facilities I've ever been to. Outside, inside, top to bottom, there is nothing out of place.
Well, him and his partners are first class. Marshall Holman, Dave Houston, and myself did a grand opening in Bend, Oregon, at the Lava Lanes in Bend. Just a phenomenal facility there.
Back to action. Oh, he was hoping that 7 would get taken out with a little bit of spin action, but it didn't drop.
Still maintains a 9-pin lead with a spare. But look who's got a double, the Bulldog. Watch his body language.
There's the cat stats, 19.8 on the speed and working that 11th board.
Brought to you by the Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida.
Another group of people who do a fine job.
Their information is instrumental in what we do out here on tour, along with the lane conditioning the lane conditioning service they provide. First class facility, not a facility like it anywhere in the world, and I can tell you that firsthand. I've been there many times. Now, situation at hand, Ryan Shafer, 9-pin lead, working on a spare, 8th frame.
Well, we saw it happen to Rob Rice in the semifinals.
To hit it? Wow.
That messenger actually came across and hit the 10-pin twice. It still didn't fall.
Knocking on the door, but wasn't let in. Ryan Shafer has to go.